Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about chicken molting. So when your daylight starts to shorten and your chickens start losing all their feathers, no need to panic. It's just molting. It's natural. So let's talk about chicken molting today. Oh my gosh, it's cold today. It is currently 35 degrees and it dropped from probably 73 degrees last week. It was so nice. Winter is coming and it is coming fast. So with daylight hours shortening, usually late summer to early fall, it triggers your chickens to start shedding their feathers. So this is the molt. They're preparing their bodies to grow new, nice and insulated feathers for winter, and that way they can stay warm and then they have a fresh set of feathers for the following year. So over the course of a year, your chicken's feathers will get damaged and broken and all like dull and just kind of shabby looking. So it's a natural process for them to be able to rebuild those feathers and grow new ones. So during this time, your chickens are going to actually stop laying eggs because they need to conserve that protein that it takes to make an egg into growing new feathers. So when your chickens molt, usually it's going to take about a month to 2 months. That's usually a pretty easy molt. Sometimes it can take up to 3 months. That's not as common. I usually see chickens stop laying eggs and regrowing their feathers for about a month to 2 months. So juvenile chickens can molt anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks. And that's usually the time where they're constantly losing and growing new feathers. So this isn't really considered a true molt yet. They'll typically get their first true molt between 16 and 18 months, typically in their second winter. So that's when you can kind of start looking for chickens to start molting. Here's an example of a chicken molting. So this gray chicken here in the back, she's almost done with her molt because if you notice, her tail feathers are the last to grow in, but her feathers she has are nice and new and pretty. So chickens usually shed their feathers in sections. That way they can have some kind of feather coverage so that they're not completely naked. But that's really going to depend on if they have a hard molt or a soft molt. Typically you're going to see a softer molt with your birds, but they will shed starting with their head. Starting with their head, going down their back, and then they'll do both sides, and then their thighs, lastly ending with their tail. And this process is completely normal, so there's no need to really panic or worry. You just want to be extra mindful and watchful over your flock at this time. You don't want to add any extra stress on the birds because this is a stressful time, them molting. So just be aware of like adding new birds to your flock during a molt or things like that. You don't want to add more stress. You can do some things to help out your birds when they are molting. So boosting their immune system is super important and super helpful for them. So putting apple cider vinegar in your water or garlic in your water can help boost their immune system. Also, if you want to help add protein to their diet, that'll definitely help them grow new feathers. So mealworms are great, black soldier fly larvae, black oil sunflower seeds, or even sprouted grains. You can add some more of that into your flock's treats or even buy a higher protein feed just to help them regrow these feathers. Okay, so there's two different kinds of molts that your chickens will experience. So there's a hard molt and there's a soft molt. More commonly, you'll have birds that'll have a soft molt. The soft molt is them just losing small amounts of feathers at a time, going in the order that we talked about. They won't be completely bald or completely naked, and it's a lot easier and probably a little bit longer of a process for them to regrow those feathers. And then there's the hard molt. The hard molt actually means that they're going to be losing a lot of feathers at once in the areas that they typically lose feathers in. So like starting with their head, starting with their sides, those areas can be almost completely bald except for the pin feathers sticking out of those areas. So just be mindful and watchful. If they're going through a particularly hard molt, it is not recommended to cover them with sweaters or anything like that, because you shouldn't obstruct those pin feathers from growing in. It can it can lead to broken pin feathers, which can cause bleeding and all kinds of problems associated with that. So just kind of watch those birds. If you are worried about them because it's cold, always make sure they have a nice draft-free coop, because then they can go into the coop and stay warm because there isn't any drafts in there. The older chickens in your flock are going to take longer to molt. It's harder on their bodies because of their older age. The younger chickens in your flock are definitely going to molt a lot faster. So for your flock to entirely complete a molt, it's going to take a couple months. So just keeping a watchful eye on them and making sure that their health and nutrition stays good. And then also making sure you don't add any extra stress. That'll definitely help them in this time. And then you just need to make sure that your molt is not caused from something else other than just natural daylight changes. So making sure that you don't have any parasites in your birds. So checking your birds over frequently. Check the base of their feathers for parasites. Lice and mites can be visible, the eggs on the shafts of the feathers. So you'll be mindful, just to watch for that, making sure it's not parasite related. Also, other reasons for a bird to go into an early molt or a non-seasonal, like what they typically would molt, lack of nutrition, lack of water, stress, bullying, any of those reasons can trigger a bird to molt prematurely. Okay, and that pretty much covers chicken molting. So if you have any questions about your birds, about molting or anything like that, leave them in the comments. I have been doing this for about 15 years now. I might be able to help you out, and I'd love to help you out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And then if you like our content and you like our videos, hit that thumbs up button to let us know that we're doing a good job. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so that you can see more content. Because coming up next, we're going to be talking about our chicken coop, our deep litter method, and how we prepare our girls for winter.